Hey everyone, on tonight's live stream, I am going to add a feature to dbachecks. So I'm taking a break from the DBA tools bug bash to kind of just do something a little new. I have in my cat inventory tonight, we got Kitty and Potato, although he's like leaving. Just passing a moment of time until I get the tweet from PowerShell Live so that I can retweet it and let people know what's up. I'll wait just another moment here. Just another moment here, closed captioning. All right, so I'm not too sure if okay, it looks like the PowerShell live channel on Twitter is a little bit behind. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Let me fix my dashboard. And checking things. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty. So, as I was mentioning before, I am going to add a feature to dbachecks. And dbachecks is a PowerShell module. It's kind of like the sister module to DBA Tools. So DBA Tools is this big old tool set with, over 500 commands. And dbachecks is also for DBAs because we have all of these checklists, right? So every day we have to do something, and then on, every week we have to do something, every month, and so on. And basically what we did was we went out to the internet and we found a whole bunch of checks, and then we added them to a module, and we made it super highly configurable, and that is ultimately dbachecks. So give me one moment. I think that I finally got the notification. Yes. So I'm going to let everyone know. Adding a dbachecks feature. Hey, Sean, how are you? I love the way that people wave. Tonight I got my, I remembered to bring my Thor hammer. So I've got that with me. Fair. It's true. It's late over here. I'm kind of tired. It's 11:02. But streaming's addictive, and I just have to get like 6 more hours or something to become an affiliate, which I don't know what that gives me, but I'm kind of thinking that it'll give me, hey, Joe, I think that it'll give me the ability to add those little icons, and I want to add that little icon of Rob Saab. So, as I was saying earlier, I am going to add a feature to dbachecks. Right now, the way that it works is that you have all of these checks that I was talking about earlier, and the way that we control them is by, like, let's say that my check for logs, by default in dbachecks, you want to check your log backups. I think it'll check for 15 minutes, right? But mine, let's say, are 60. So we use set dbc config to manage all of the configs. And there's a whole ton of configs, as you can see here. Maybe you can see here in the screenshot. So I'm just going to go over this blog post real quick. Here's our checks as of like a year ago, because I haven't updated these screenshots. But you can see that, you have things for failed jobs. If check to make sure that you have a fail-safe operator. If you have any suspect pages, so database corruption and things like that. So you have all of these checks, and then you have all of the configuration. So you set your configuration, then you can get your DBC config. These are all the ones that are related to backups. And ultimately, what you have to do, like let's say that you have a whole bunch of checks, right? You want to, let's say that your checks for your prod. Hey, Shane. Let's say that your checks for prod are different from your checks for dev. So you have a whole set of configurations for dev and a whole set of configurations for prod. And currently what we have is we'll do like, hey, import the config and then run your invoke dbc check. What I'm adding tonight is the ability to just do invoke dbc check dash config name or config file. That's what it'll be. Probably. I'll have to actually, naming's the hardest. And so I'm going to have to actually think through what that should be named. And I think that that'll provide for a smoother experience. Instead of having to run two commands, you can just do it all in one. And there's nothing super horrible about running two commands, but I think that these are so commonly run together that it's something that should be added. And it was something that Sander had added for me. I was at I was at Data Grillin', and I was like, oh, what if we can do this? But whenever you're giving a presentation, you'll forget afterwards. So I asked him, and he was very nice and obliged. So that is the issue. Honestly, it's been a really long time since I have worked with dbachecks. Thank you, Sean. It's been a long time since I've worked with the code. So with dbachecks in general, you kind of set it and forget it. And you configure it once unless you want additional checks that we add. So it's been quite some time since I've worked with it. In addition, in this stream, I am not just going to work with dbachecks, which I haven't in a while, but I'm also going to try to do it in Visual Studio Code, because at some point I really need to move away from PowerShell Studio and into Visual Studio Code. So bear with me as I try to remember keystrokes. I don't like using the keyboard. I much prefer the mouse, but we'll see what we could do. All right, so I think that the first thing, one of the things that I really wanted was the ability to easily search, as I've mentioned in some other streams. Cool enough, this tool set, it has a whole lot of checks and it has a whole lot of pester tests and things like that, but it doesn't have an unmanageable number of commands, so that's something that I could just click on from here. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is look at invoke dbc check. And I did this earlier. I kind of looked through it to see all of the parameters. And actually, before I do that, I would like to go to, hey, pew pew stuff. That's awesome. The DBA checks, or sorry, the DBA tools Trello is no longer in use. We have moved all of our issues to GitHub. So if you go to dbatools.io/issues, then everything that was all those cards and stuff from Trello, they have moved over to GitHub. And so I'm going through here again. So we have all of these options, and I wanted to make sure that the option doesn't currently exist, because what if I've lost track of the code that's been added, so I need to make sure. So we have output file. That's not going to be it, right? And also within it would likely be Beard that would have added this, and he said this is already available, and then he closed it, and then I was like, this is my request, so I'm going to add it. So it would have been him that would have added it. So it that kind of lends to the fact that it hasn't been added yet. What up, Argenis? Currently, I'm adding a feature to dbachecks. I'm going to allow for easier import of the config file. I did. Tonight I was really excited. I created a blog post at netnerds.net about my pretty simple setup, and Veronica, she had a really awesome setup with this little pad that Joe had just told me about. It's a little pad. I don't know what it's called. What's that little pad called? But it's a cute little, see with hers, I thought that it was a big giant pad for streaming. You press some LED lights. But whenever I saw it on her desk, it looked really manageable, far smaller than the hammer. So yeah, it's called a Stream Deck. So hey, PowerShell prompt, I am getting the transcripts, the closed captioning through something called PubNub. If you go to netnerds.net right now, the first post there talks about how I use it, and you could just click on the link and it's super straightforward to use. All right, so back to this. It looks, this is hard to explain. I don't think that I've ever really used value, but I wanted it to be there. All right, so looks like we are good. Now I'm gonna have to name this parameter. Thank you, Joe. Joe's my buddy. We hang out a lot and talk about PowerShell. He has a much cooler rig than me. It's actually very beautiful. Well, this Mac Mini is super beautiful, but his is like glowing red and massive. It does, it does a decent job of getting my my accent right. It knows to capitalize Cajun, so that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna name this. I'm thinking that it should be config file. But here's the thing. I don't want it to just conform with dbachecks. I want it to conform with PowerShell in general, right? So PowerShell often uses dash path for both files and directories, and then file path whenever it wants to be explicit about the file path. So if I invoke dbcheck, if I say file path, then that kind of gives the idea that it's, it's going to invoke some sort of check that is, the check file. So that gives the wrong idea. So I think that config file is appropriate. And if I were to just use config, check this out. We rarely do this, but we use native PowerShell dynamic parameters to autofill this stuff. Check it out. So you invoke dbc check, and then I did C, and now I hit tab. And did I forget to? I thought that I loaded this. Maybe there's no C. Oops, my bad. All right, let me hit tab a bunch of times. VBHX is horrible. What's wrong with my stuff? Did I not spell it right? Okay, look, I'm a Control C. F loads up all of my modules. F is for force, so you import module force, and that'll overwrite what's currently in memory. So invoke dash dbc check dash. This is crazy, straight up. So thanks a lot, Twitch and everybody. What I'm going to do, not Twitch, sorry. PowerShell console. I'm sitting here being like, what the hell? I just messed with my profile right before this, and I'm wondering if that could have done something. So let's sit here awkwardly. Does anybody have a question? Oh, never mind. No more time. All right, invoke dbc check. This is weird. Okay, get DBA database, and then that loads up. Maybe invoke dbc check. I mean, it has some parameters, right? Invoke dbc check. I'm gonna do dash SQL instance. Let me just type that in. Invoke dbc check SQL instance. Oh, you know what? Maybe once I do this, it'll tell me. There we go. All right, this is excellent. So sometimes with Pester, and I don't know why this happens, and maybe with whenever there's a new release, we can require that one. I have to do import module pester and like manually do it. And then let's just say I did that. See, now it works. So, yeah, it's a weird thing with pester. And so hopefully that bug will go away. Let me clear. Now that, got to get back on track. All right, so invoke dbc. What does that mean? That little icon. I feel very much my age in Twitch because I don't really know the icons. It's cute. Charlie Chaplin. Yeah. All right, so SQL instance, SQL 2017. Ah, okay, got it. Thank you. Okay. You'll be my official translator now. Thank you, Sean. Okay, so now I would run invoke dbc check against SQL instance, and I forgot why I was doing this because it threw me off. Oh yeah, so usually, so we have these checks, right? Let's just see. All right, so, and then these checks are auto-populated, and you can, I love this. This is something that's just like my favorite thing ever. I could sit here and tab all day. So these, I'm just going through all of our checks just because showing people around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. Config file. I think that's an appropriate term. Control plus space to show all. To show all what? The only controls I know, by the way, are like Control C, Control V, and Control B. So I'm really terrible at keyboard shortcuts. So config file. The path to the exported dbachecks config file. Oh, tab completion options. You know, it's been on my list to remember that. So let's go through it. Check. And then control space. Yes, I do. Super cool. Awesome. So these are all of our 122 checks that are currently available with dbachecks. Thanks so much, Shane. Hopefully I'll remember that next time. So control space. All right. So path to the exported dbachecks config file. Seems straightforward enough. I could say like to make it special for this session, but I'll just do that later. All right. So now we're going to go down and add it to, it was after pass through, but pass through's up there. Some advanced stuff. Look at this. How cool. So I'm going to change that to a string, and then I am going to make that config file. I don't want to put it above SQL instance and stuff though, so let me put that somewhere else. All right. I like that so far. Visual Studio Code, like, put my stuff in the right place. That was nice. Here's our dynamic parameters. Usually we use PS Framework's dynamic parameter, but we had to do it this certain way for a reason that I don't quite remember. Okay, so now that we have the config file, this is essentially the functionality that we want to do, right? So export dbc config, I would say path, yeah, to C temp prod. You know what? Let's just be honest. Lab dot it's a JSON. Okay. And so I'm going to, let's go ahead and look at it. So this is what was exported. And then what you can do, because it's JSON and it's pretty, you can go through here and you could be like, oh, my severities, I only want to be alerted on 16. And you can just easily modify it that way. And, you know, let's say our backups. So full, no. So I want it to, let's see, user full. Max full days. Ooh, that was probably it. Policy, backup, full days, max. All right, so right now it's 1. Let me say that it's 10 for my lab. And then what we would do is, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to say, you know what? We don't need that. I'm going to do get dbcheck, no, config. And then I think name. So you can see right now that value is 1. And what I expect is that whenever I run import dbc config, since I've changed that, that value will change to 10. So dbc config path ctemp lab.json. All right, so you could see all of the imports. I got some warnings up there. Let's go see what they are. Oh, couldn't update it. I wonder if that's because it's been removed. I know that whenever we first released this, it had some support for email, and now it doesn't. So I might have some older settings. All right, so what I'm going to do is go back here and say full day. So there we have the 10. Okay, so what the current expectation is that you're going to import this for your lab, and then you'll run it on your lab. And then when it's in prod, you'll import your prod.json, and then you'll run it there. What I want to do is take away this step. And I just want to say invoke. Actually, you know what I would like to do? Let's run this against a server right now. So we've imported that config, and you guys are with me while I try to remember how it is that you do the check. So let's do, first we're going to do get dbcheck. I want all of them. And then I'm going to do an out grid view. I'm going to look for the word full. So the check that I want to run is, oh, and I'm so glad that you're here, Joe, because now you can see how we'll be working with the compliance stuff. So we have last full backup is the tag that I'm going to run against SQL 2017. And invoke dbc check SQL instance SQL 2017. I'm being explicit right here with the SQL server that I want to run it against, but this is actually something that you can store in your config file as well. So we do offer the ability to run it dynamically, or in this case, it'll say, you know, does the SQL instance variable, is it bound? If it's not, then use what's in the config. So I'm just going to be explicit here, say SQL 2017, and then the check is going to be full. Does anybody remember what it was? Oh, PowerShell and chill. You know, it's my goal to be as chill as WordBox. I should start singing some Little Mermaid. He does karaoke in PowerShell. All right, so the check, does anybody remember it? I totally forgot. Let me look up. Oh, man. Back up. Need some chill ass beats. That's a good point. I'm actually listening right now to Tron. That's what I'm listening to. I was listening to some lo-fi, like YouTube beats, but it was too chill, and I got sleepy. So let's see. I made this Tron playlist because it's the best soundtrack ever. So some Daft Punk. I need to turn that up. All right. Oh, you know what? Shane just taught me this. The check that I want, I'm going to hit Control. Yes, Control Tab will show me all of this. And now I'm going to look for the word full. Last full backup. There it is. All right. So how do I make that a better user experience than having a backup? Last full backup. I expect that this is going to fail. Yeah, it's horrible. Because it's been a very long time since I've backed up SQL 2017. So that failed. And then what I want to do is I want to do a backup. But then will that mess my tests up after this? No. All right. Get DBA database. I'm just going to dynamically or whatever. Just going to back up my databases real quick. SQL 2017 backup DBA database. So it's going to back up my databases. I don't think that there's a lot on there. I just did some clones. And now we're going to do this. What up? All green. Okay, this is working so nice. Now from here, you see where it says should be less than 10 days? What I want to do is change my config file and then import that using the command itself. So let's go back here. I'm going to say lab.json. I'm going to change this to 7 or like, I don't know, 77. Yeah. And from here, I'm going to go back to, because say we have config file. Now, where do I want to put this? Do I want to put it in the begin? Yes, actually I do. Because, so the begin is processed only once. But if you pipe things in, but if you, and I don't know if this is pipeable or not, but we want it to run only once, this import. And if I put it in process, there's a possibility that it'll run multiple times, and we just need that import to be done once. So what I'm going to do is a dynamic param. I'm going to expand begin. So config, PSF config. What happens when we do this? Let's find out. This is the configuration and logging from PS Framework at psframework.org is phenomenal, and I use it in everything. Yeah, if you go to, this is on YouTube, dbatools.io/YouTube is our channel as well. All right. So we can see here, these are all of our checks. So if I'm passing in the config file, I want it to happen before this because I want that to be modified. So perfect place. What I'm going to do is I am going to say, so I have two ways that I can do it right now. It's the easy way, if config file, right? Or we have something that we do called test PSF bound. I think I'll just go with that. We'll test to see if it works. PSF bound. PSF bound? What does he call it? It's not auto-populating. Maybe I'm not doing it right. PowerShell framework. Look at all these good ass things. Test bound. So test bound is part of DBA tools, but I don't know if it's part of dbachecks even internally. And I thought that what Fred had done was taken our test bound from DBA tools and put it into PS Framework, which would make it available to dbachecks since we rely on that. But I'm not finding it. Let's see. Get command module PS Framework and then bound. That's exactly, yes. Wait, this would be Zultra. Does that actually work? Because that would be awesome. Was bound is an alias to get alias was bound. is a what? Wait, select store. Like, why aren't I getting more information here? So it's, oh, very formal. Test PSF parameter binding. So that is the PS framework equivalent of DBA tools' test bound. All right, so, oh, what just happened? All right, I think I closed this by accident. Okay. It is. I like it. Based off of, so Zoltra just said, that's a cool idea, PowerShell chatbot. You know, based off of the transcripts potentially that are done by the CapChat. No, PubNub. So if this is bound config file, so if somebody actually passed a config file, then we would want to, I'm trying to think here because I have to think through, do I do a try catch here? Do I just let invoke dbcheck fail? Do I do a test path right here? I will do a test path here. If test path. This is very smooth. I really like this experience with VS Code. There's a bot created for Twitch that will let you highlight code on the VS Code editor. Would that be for me to install, Sean? Probably, huh? If so, then I'm going to add it to my list. So if test path, then config file. So if that exists, then do this. But actually what I want it to do, I just want it to kind of skip over. So if not that, then I want to, and this is the way that we make in DBA tools and some other the modules that we have this pretty yellow instead of that like horrifying sea of red blood. And the way that we do that is by using stop PSF function. And you'd be like, config file does not exist, or you do not have access to it, and would want to return. So just, if that fails, then immediately go to begin. Sorry, to process. And here, does he have... So now I need to see if there's test PSF function interrupt. So the interrupt basically says if this got stopped anywhere, then don't process it. So process if test PSF function interrupt. Let's return. Don't do anything. And I'm assuming that this big old command, oh, I'm surprised. I would have thought that this big command would have an end at the end, but it doesn't. So that's the only place we have to worry about it. So now that we've gotten to the config file does not exist, now we have to actually work with it. So what we're going to do is import dbc config path. It didn't autocomplete for me, so now I'm just like, why isn't it auto-completing? Did I use dbc config? I need to make sure that this is the right command. Okay, cool, it is. Path config file. Boom. Okay, so that might be it. What we're going to have it do is automatically import the config file. And so let's check it. So I'm reloading the modules because I made changes to the module, And now I want to make sure that my changes are reflected in memory. So now that I've done that, I will invoke dbcheck. You know what? I'm just going to go up. Yeah. And then now we're going to pass that config file, temp. And what we're expecting is that the output is going to be green, but it'll say 77 days. Lab.json, because it's my lab. Oh, look at this. That's nasty. Okay, so, all right, so the first thing that I need to do is, ooh, that was so nasty. I want to null that. But here's the problem, is that it ran into that stopped function, and then right here, it returned and it didn't do anything. What I could do, I think that we can clear our config cache. This is a terrible idea, but it's what I've got right now. Let's just see. There was a problem with execution of checks repos. That should also be clarified, because as an end user, I don't really understand what that means. Execution of checks repos. Bruh. All right, so what I'm going to do is, let's just take that out. I'm kind of excited that it failed, because I get to work on this longer. Because I had about like an hour carved out, and I was like, man, that was really quick. Error, success, error, 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 unknown error. All right, so error action ignore, and then like warning action ignore, and then let's just railroad this and and just get it working, and then I can figure out the other stuff after that. Reload. So long. I am reloading a whole bunch of modules, but since they're all already in memory, I'm surprised that it's taking this long. It's like fresh every time. Okay, I told it to ignore that. Warning action ignore. So I'm not sure why it kept on. You know what I'm gonna do? Try. Haha. Sean, you're right. I should start up the debugger, but you know, I don't know how to debug, and maybe that's something. I don't know how to debug like properly. And you know, maybe that's something that we could switch in the future, because I could ask all the dumb questions that somebody else would ask. That's like, I have no idea how to properly debug. So what I'm gonna do is error action stop. I know, right? Right to it. Oh, let's see. Catch, don't care, which isn't true. I'm just trying to get it to work. This is an outrage. Is outlandish. Where's my translator? Because I stuttered. I can't see it. I need a third monitor just so I could see my stream. Stream. Hey, Scaparino. Oh, use the live share feature of VS Code for that Twitch. That sounds like a fantastic idea. Oh, cool. We could do that together, Sean, if you're up for it. All right, so now I don't care. I'm loading it. Why it's taking 15 seconds is driving me crazy. Maybe it's because I'm like duplicate loading, but even so. Super boring. Oh, it's true. I did do that. Okay. No, I do go to sleep. I've been sleeping. I've been sleeping like all the time lately. But actually, doing Twitch has gotten me out of my burnout, I think. So I'm really excited about that. I kind of figured my brain just needed to be like prodded into not being burnt out. So I'm going to do error action stop so that if there's any error, it actually, and then enable exception. So I'll just, I'm just going to throw everything at it. And then it will certainly go here and then maybe not stop the execution. I'm so sorry that we have to sit around for 15 seconds every time. It's true. When there's PowerShell, you get to wake up in the morning, you're like, this PowerShell. I see that .NET Core 3 Preview 2 released yesterday. I am not adventurous whenever it comes to some things, and .NET Core is one of them. It took me a really long time to, even though I love Mac and I love shells and everything, it took me like till the other month to actually install PowerShell on Mac. So I was a bit disappointed in myself. So this is super aggravating. What I'm going to do is move. Why not? What? Zultra, are you talking to me or Sean? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this right here, even though it might process a couple times. .NET Core, no, it is super awesome. I think that it's because I was really busy with DBA tools, and I didn't have the energy. Getting that all set up and getting into a rhythm was very exhausting. And so whenever I thought of like, the monumental task of installing stuff, it took me a while to just be like, okay, I have to do it. I will say, whenever I was in my 20s, it was a lot easier to stay up all night playing with Linux, and even my teens on my little 486 setting up. I actually used to have my web server in my house. My IP was 24.0.175.222. That was my first broadband IP. And I know that because like I had to hard code it into my really crappy Packard Bell 486 that was running Linux, and it was just so loud. I guess when I was in that CGI bin, it was just like cranking. It was probably maxing out the small amount of memory that I had and then just like paging. So it's so loud all the time. Anyway, I don't have time for that. I don't have the energy for that anymore. All the exploration. What I do is I ask people like Joe and Sean, I'm like, can you tell me like what to do, like what to try? And then they tell me, and that's really nice. Totally. It's true. Oh my God, 4 hours of sleep. I can do it, but it makes me grumpy whenever I wake up. And I cannot do it for more than like 2 nights in a row. But sometimes it's really hard to go to bed, like that night that we released DBA tools for PowerShell Core. That was an amazing night, and I couldn't go to sleep. So I just like, stayed up. Oh, wow. That is weird. Yeah, it likes to call you SEAN. All right, so did I just reload it? Let's see. I forgot. You know, okay, then fine. Then I will just import the stuff manually because maybe I just messed something up real bad. So now I'm importing. And then I'm going to execute this without the config file. I'm super aggravated right now. I'll bulldog this because it's not making any sense. So we know that it imports. Welcome to my feed. It is very exciting. We know that it imports. The import works, but it doesn't do it inside of this particular command. So we're doing test path, we're doing stop function. It doesn't ever say, oh, you know what? Stop function needs a message. Do y'all remember how I can isolate the scope of import dbc config? Like if I run it within script block, is that going to help? Let's see. So I need to do it before here, before this config. And I don't know. Let's see if this works. Now I'm going to have to change the days. No, it doesn't support scope to my knowledge. I am not awesome at scoping. I'm trying to think. Can I do invoke command? Does it have to reload the module if I do? All right, so we'll make sure that this still works. And then now we're going to throw that config file there. Let's find out, where is this even running from? You know what? Okay, cool. It is in there. All right. So let's see where this is even said. Me too. It is a pubnub. Find shit. So I just found some shit. So it's right here. It's like if it imports it within this, all the checks are messed up. Like the repo. First of all, I would like to. There was a problem with the execution of check repos. Ha! Shirts. I'm gonna start calling them shirts. Ship decks. I would like to make this clearer. There was a problem with the execution of checks repo. Is that like checks repository? All right, let's see what this is. It's around, okay, so repos, it does. It'd be funny if it'd be like goofy laugh. I actually laughed like an onomatopoeia, and it did onomatopoeia. Yeah, like whenever if I'm belly laughing, it'll be like ha 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 ha. Why is that called get check repos? Maybe we could do that. So thank you, Shane. I am going to copy that probably. Is it just app.check repos? I could probably see it right here. Checks repos. Well, we got a Shane and a Sean. I was only called Christina. It used to be my name, and there were too many Tinas that were unsavory, and I didn't want to be a Tina, and so I chopped off the uh, the Tina, and then at the time, there was this super cool model named like Chrissy Taylor, and then I was just like Chrissy, and I regret that because all my friends actually, my name was Chris. And my family called me Chris, all my close friends call me Chris, and then I got on the internet and I was like, I'll just be Chrissy, and now I regret it because sometimes it just I don't know if it suits me or not. Now I'm looking at this message and I want to make it better in the end, no matter if I figure out this problem or not. So there was a problem with checking with the, let's see, if we're check file, I don't know what that is. Not contactable. I don't know what that means. Let's see, remove any previous entries. Specific checks were listed. Find the necessary script file. Okay. Parsing repository information. I'm guessing. Okay, so now that I've fixed that, I remember where's the beef. A lot of times whenever I have issues like this, I just kind of like bang at it until I can figure it out. Or I usually message my scope person is Fred, but ever since Fred started working at Microsoft, he isn't as available on Slack anymore. So I'm kind of sitting here being like, man, all right, so we're in the begin. I mean, maybe because it's running the dynamic parameters, like it's hateful. Let me remove those just for now, just to see. Hey, that was a lot faster. That's weird. All right. So it's still failing. So it's not the dynamic parameters. Look, crazier things have happened. Let me make sure it's not the check. All right, so it's not the check. But what if I just took out everything and did this? All right, so it's not any of my like supporting code. The actual issue is definitely right here. And another way that I could have checked this is if this actually works, then it should. Oh, wait, wait, what? Okay, I have an idea. Maybe The name config file was already used. So let's see where else it is used. There's only 6, so that's not very encouraging. No, damn it. That's not the problem. All right. So I'm going to take it out entirely. Things just got weird. So it's actually not even my code. I'm going to rename it to config file 1. Oh yeah, it's a pester thing, isn't it? Maybe. That would explain why it's so such a weird error. Oh, hey, that shouldn't have worked because I named it to config file 1. Are you on the latest version of pester on this machine? Let me see. Wouldn't it be awesome if that was the problem? Okay, I might not be. Thank you, Sean. So what I'm going to do is update it. And then while I'm at it, I will also, if this works, then what I'm going to do is I'll update the modules PSD1 to make sure that DBA tools and DBA and pester are updated. So let's see, IPMO. See, I don't know where I put pester. Let's just do it. Update module, pester. I should have done verbose. Okay, cool. Awesome. Then we'll put in the proper place, hopefully. Excellent. Okay, so now we've updated our pester, and then get module. Ooh, that drives me crazy. Get module, pester, list all available. Oh, goodness. Where are we at? Select path. Okay, cool. That ain't bad. All right, so that should work. So now we're at 4.6. I kind of just want to go here and delete all the old stuff. I'm going to close out my windows. Bruh. All right, that's annoying. I'm guessing maybe VS Code is holding on to it. But I'm gonna empty it out anyway. Goodness. Oh, trusted installer, huh? All right, I know that problem and I hate it, and so I'm not gonna do it. They added a new check around parameters that we need to look at for DBA tools. Okay. Okay. So 3.4.0 is baked into the OS. Night, Shane. So that's interesting. It just, now it's trying to do it whenever I import it, which is strange. I wonder if I put it in a weird place. Yes, it would. Okay, so config file. Import module, pester. Okay. It automatically restarted right now. I'm so sad. Get module pester. Nope, get module pester. I also actually did a get process PowerShells and pipe that to stop process, so that's probably why it crashed too. Okay, so now it appears that if I add something called config file, that something hates it's so I'm gonna do this, and I'm trying to get it back to a working state real quick so that I can kind of start over and see what's up. I don't think, I don't think I don't know if I'm gonna post this one to YouTube. First of all, how is it taking config file? If I renamed it. Because I renamed it up here, it should bark, and it should be like, hey, you can't use that because it doesn't exist. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna paste this. Did you reload the module in your PS session? Yes, I did. I actually closed it out entirely and started, I restarted the whole console. So what I'm going to do now is go to my dbachecks repo, and I'm just discarding it all because this is really weird. And that dash config file shouldn't work. See, that's what I was expecting before, right? That it's like, hey, we don't even have anything that matches. So once I remove config file, then this should work. Now what I'm going to do is go back in and put that code that I had there. But I'm not going to put a parameter up here. So that's my stopper. And we go back to the begin. And we add this code back. What did I do? Oh God. Where did I put it? Okay, I need to. All right, so there's this thing called ether vein echo. And you can get your clipboard from it. And apparently I had deleted too much. So now I am using ether vein to go ahead and get my my code that I had deleted before. So we go back to the begin, ultra confirm that it's not there. All right. So this should work. This code should work because I don't have config file, so it's not going to actually run. I know that's actually, that's one of the things that I like about doing Twitch is to share the tools, because I was actually There's a developer that I used to work with named Gary, and Gary introduced me to that. Have a good night, Joe. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, so this again should fail, and this should succeed. Awesome. That is the expectation. So there was something that happened with that name config file, and what I would like to do is add in with a different name. Config path. How about we do that? I don't like it. Oh, isn't there that thing that we could do in VS Code where you can replace everything? I'll just do this. I know there was a prettier way, but I don't know the keystroke for it. Is it get clipboard control? So there you go with there you go with your with the keyboard shortcuts. I'm not good at them, but I am. So control space totally works. All right, so now we've named it config path. And what I'm going to do is we're going step by step because we got to get this going, right? And I want to make sure that it works. So we've confirmed that it works. Now what I'm going to do is around here somewhere, let's see, string value. That's whatever. So that's an array. I'm going to make it not an array. And then I'm going to make it not value. This is going to be config path. Yeah. Oh, hey, look at that. Wait, Boolean. What? Okay, so our name's, it's config path down here, right? I don't know why it said Boolean. So this should still work. All right, fantastic. So what if we add in that config path? It wasn't the variable name. I know. God. It's okay. All right. Thank you for the link, Daredevil. It's just not part of my brain to remember them. I've tried for years because it is super cool, and I even did that mouse free challenge, and I think I did it for like 3 days, and I just went back to the mouse. Okay, so print it up and hang it up. Yeah, but I I want my fingers to just like work. It's true. Okay, I will, I'm gonna try it anyway. So I mean, I guess that this is a scoping issue. Oh, no. Because I was about to say, oh, it's because we run pester, but we don't. We just change the config. What up, twin? All right, what if I just, before we do that, Sean, I want to try a couple more things. I'm so bummed, man. All right, this is just setting some other stuff. So let me remove it all. At least we don't have to, at least whenever we figure this out, it's not going to be named config path, which I wasn't a fan of. And now we're back to 14-second load times. I love my red Solo cups. We, um, this is kind of ridiculous, but I try to reduce. I have a degenerative shoulder disorder, and so I like to keep my cutlery or whatever, all of my utensils really light, and so that's why. I have my red Solo cup because it's super light, and it just reminds me of a party. And PowerShell is a party, and so I'm just feel like I'm living up to its spirit. Ball. Man, I'm so mad, y'all. What if I take this out? If we learned anything from before, it shouldn't work, even though I took it out, right? It's true. They actually, I had a friend over here in Europe who heard about our red cups and was like, man, can you hook me up with some red cups? So I hooked her up with some red cups. All right. So as we had, this is actually what I expected. There's something that goes permanently funky if I execute that, maybe. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually import Pester, because we've seen that I have to for whatever reason. Import module Pester. And then this is going to take a little bit because it has to load a whole bunch of other modules, because it's the first time that I run it. So you don't have to explicitly, if you're new to PowerShell, you don't have to explicitly import your modules. You can just actually run the command name, and this is weird. You can just, and it'll find, if the command exists in your path, then it will load the module automatically and run the command for you. And that's actually why, if you type in a command that doesn't exist, you'll see there's like that took half a second, and it's because it went through all of my my module PS module path. Oh goodness, what is it? ENV PS module path. So it goes through all of this to see if the command that you typed in exists in any of those directories. And I cleaned mine out pretty recently, which is why it only took half a second. Sometimes it'll take like 1 second, but I've never seen it take longer than that to report file not found. All right. So I have 2 Solo cups. One has some yerba mate in it. It keeps me up. And I had planned to stop at 12:13, but this is so unsatisfying that I can't. I mean, we have to get somewhere. But I think that this might just be one of those really hard problems that I have to better understand through like scoping or something. Maybe ask Jakob. So Daredevil wanted me to do splits and then that. So that's prettier. And now you can see all of the places where it loads stuff from. Thank you, Dare. Yeah, this is actually good. Yerba mate usually tastes terrible, but I did cold brew, and then I got the proportions right, which is really nice. So right now I'm just racking my brain. How can I constrain a scope? It's so weird too. I mean, this is behavior that I don't recall ever seeing. I don't recall ever seeing that I can run a command once and then I could close out PowerShell and then it still breaks. How is that possible? I mean, I've already confirmed that it's taken dbachecks from that place, and this is just a really weird, persistent thing that I don't completely understand. So check that out. The first time. Oh, you know what? I didn't even try like verbose or anything. Let's see what's happening. Awesome. Awesome. Super informative. Oh, all right, Sean. If you want to live share and show me how to debug. Hey, Brian. Thank you so much. It's been very frustrating tonight. Things are really weird, and I don't get. It's just I'm super confused right now. And Sean Melton offered to do a live share where he could tell me how to debug properly because my whole life, I've been doing like VB scripts, and I never really did C sharp and Bash. I don't know if that has a debugger, but if it does, I certainly didn't use it. So I've never debugged properly in my life. I've seen it. It's really cool. I don't do it myself because usually like write warning helps enough. Anyway, we are running into such weird problems that maybe, I finally have to break out that debugger and see how it works. Sean, you there? It just completely blows my mind. Uh, let's see. There's my begin. All right, I just discarded all of my changes, and there it is, all beautiful. Everything's back. Now I am reloading my modules because I expect it to work, but maybe not in this session. All right, so config path didn't exist. Doesn't exist because I just discarded everything and now it's working. And now if I put back, I need to remove that. Let's see, unpin. All right. And now if I put back that code, then it's still going to work again. Makes no sense. I guess I have some extremely weird scoping things. I like the config path. Yeah. I'm going to add that back, but I'm not going to use it. I don't get that. Why is it Doing a Boolean. All right, so we can see that it worked, and it'll work until I do that dash config path. Now what I'm going to try is what if we set it manually? What happens then? Instead of actually executing it from here. It will not run, I know that, because it's not a bound parameter, right? I just set it here, but I'm just curious to see. Oops. So the check is checking to see if you've actually specified it here at dash config path. That is called binding a parameter. So it checks explicitly for that. It doesn't check to see, does it have a value? So I've reloaded it, and that did work. Now, what if I do say config path? Let's see what happens if I run it without it being a parameter. Because look, I am all out of ideas. All right, so I expected that to run because we have not done this. Now, once I execute this, I expect everything to break until I revert all of the code again. Wouldn't it be crazy if the problem was somehow in... I know, right? So, what if the problem actually stemmed from... Oh, man. Whew. All right, now we're getting somewhere. I almost want to hurry up and commit this. You know what? Okay, now that this is on its way to working, I need to go back here and grab the, because I'm going to grab this. It's so fun doing this live streaming because that was like exactly my face too. What? Did not expect it to work. All right, we're going to put this here. So that passes, because we always check to make sure that all of our commands are well documented. Okay, so this config path is there, and then I say if config path, do that, and then warning action silently continue. But I do want it to fail, and in this case it will, and then it'll get stopped here by, oh nope, if test PSF function interrupt. Return. Sean, what you missed was that I think maybe the thing that was causing the problem, let's try it with this. Let's do the test PSF function interrupt. I think that the problem was actually with using that bound command. There was something going on with it. Once I removed that, then everything worked. Test. Okay, so that basically asks, have any errors been thrown? And nothing has been thrown yet. So let's make sure that that wasn't the problem. I know. Well, look. Here it is. If I do this, then the command works. Look at this. It worked right here. And did I... No. Oh, no. Oh, that's what it was. I did the config, and it imported, as you can see here, and then it ran successfully. So the problem appears to be with the parameter checking. Now, that does bring up a good point. PS Framework has had 2 commits, and maybe this was a bug that was already addressed. So this is help. So no, probably not. Okay. Let's invoke that. I'm going to invoke that test PSF function interrupt by giving it a bad config file name. So then this will happen. It'll just return and it'll give me the message. This song's really good. Oh, so if you like Tron, there is an add-on soundtrack. So I love the Tron Legacy soundtrack. And then there's something called Tron Uprising that's kind of like Tron Legacy Part 2. And I really like that Inferno song I was just listening to. Or whatever. That wasn't Inferno. That was Light Bike Battle. Okay. All right. So now we are going to run the command, which should fail because I gave it a poor path. Cool. Hey, it doesn't exist, right? Excellent. And if you're not familiar with the DBA Tools toolset, this is something that comes from the DBA Tools toolset. I didn't want to subject people to this, like all that red. So our errors are straightforward. They are time stamped. You can see what command it was, and you can see that here, but it's just not as scary. So it doesn't exist. Huh. Well, if you remember, Sean, we changed it to like config file. Like we used a different variable and it still failed. All right, so it's not the function interrupt that's problematic. So far, it appears to be the command that we were using before, which was test PSF bound like parameter. What was it? Get alias was bound. That. So whenever I was using this, that was causing the problem. So what I want to do, God, this song is so good. So what I want to do is, if this runs, then I'm actually just going to create a little branch real quick and commit it and then do some testing. So I'm going to reload all of the modules. I'm going to specify the config path. Actually, I'm just going to hit up until there. Let me make sure my code's all legit. If config path, and it'll be set. And it'll do that. All right. Okay, so it wasn't supposed to say that, but so then it's not that. Invoke pester config. I was thinking maybe it's a problem with that. All right, I have a ridiculous idea. First of all, it's very unfortunate that I'm going to have to like delete all of my changes, discard it, and then reload it because for some reason that's what works. I don't understand it. So I'm going to go to the dbachecks thing, and I am actually going to create a new branch called config path. Do you want to live share? Hold on, give me a second. I want to do a couple things, and then the answer will probably be yes. So I'm going to discard the changes. Oops. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yes. All right. I want to get this to a working state one more time because I need that hit of adrenaline. Because I'm losing steam. All right. So that works, which is what I expected. And then now I'm going to paste this, and then I'm going to load it up again without using -config path, and I expect that it'll work as well. And then I just want to try something real dumb, and then we can live share. I don't want to do that just yet. What if we never use config path? Oops. What if we can bind it, but we never use it? Then I will see if it is. So check that out. It hates local PowerShell script hates config path. So it's not even a problem with the import. It's a problem with binding that parameter. That's impressive. Almost done, Sean. Time to start up trace on PS. All right. Hold on. All right. What if All right, I'm gonna give it a name potato just real quick, and then we can live share. And let me just see if the problem is that where is config check? Config. Oh, wait. Hold on. Oh, I reverted my stuff. Okay, because I needed to load it, which I did. I'm going to paste this. And then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to say potato. Because I know that potato is not used. Potato. Anywhere. But I'm going to bind it. So So you're telling me that if I add one extra parameter called potato, so we see that, right? Oh, import module pester. All right, let's live share. This is the weirdest thing ever. I'm gonna have to see if I'm logged into Slack on my other screen. I don't want to open it up. So hold on. Allow Allow, allow. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let me go log in over here. All right, so right now I am I'm setting up a live share with Sean so that he can help me figure out what the heck is going on, because this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But now I have to use my authenticator and do my app for a thing. So 652-476. All right, Sean. About to Slack this to you. All right. Did you get that, Sean? Okay. Hopefully I could just close this. All right. Okay, I just want to do like one more thing. While I wait. Hey, cool. Let's see. An audio call has been started. Oh no. Oh, you know what? Dang. I'm already peeing. I wonder if it'll work. I'll join. Oh, you'll be able to. Ooh, that's gonna. Okay. I don't know. I don't know how well this is gonna work. But maybe you could just control it, and maybe I just can't hear you. All right. Cool. Oh, what? That is so cool. Just real quick, Sean, I would like to test something. So if I come here, I haven't made any changes. I'm gonna import the module. I'm gonna run this, and I expect that once it loads, it's gonna tell me that the perimeter doesn't exist. Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. It's not odd. It's not odd that you can't hear me. Oh, okay. The reason that you can't hear me is because I'm already peeing, and so I don't have a mic hooked up to this machine. So this is going to be really disjointed. But I'm gonna add a switch real quick. I am remote desktop protocoling. I'm already peeing. Oh God. All right. So just real quick. Hey. I'm gonna run this and I expect it to work. Okay, and then I'm gonna add in a switch called potato, to see if like see something. I don't know. Potato. Because it's delayed. Oops. I know. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Oh, there's Sean. Give me 1 second, Sean. Check that out. That's the weirdest shit in the world. In the world. And no, I can totally hear you. It's good. You know what I just thought? Oh, here you go. Oh, so you guys can't hear what he said. He just said, get me the PID, so that we could start stepping through this. So right now we're doing a live share, me and Sean, and hopefully we can solve this. This is more of an exploratory thing. So adding this feature has turned into a big old mess. Oops, sorry. It's true. Man, I mean, like it's just, so Sean is having issues because it's not letting him use my debugger. I can see you partially, Sean. You think it, man, no. Okay. So he was having issues because we were in read only mode. And so now he will be able to, it's delayed. Yes, I can see. I can see you typing, which means that, sweet. I know. Yeah, you guys, it's so weird and disjointed because Sean is talking through RDP. He can't hear me until I talk on the stream, which is always like 10 seconds delayed. So this will be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, not the fan. Not the same. Not the fame. Not the fame. I'm looking at the captioning. It's cracking me up. I'm gonna go to the dbachecks repository while you do this, Sean, real quick, because I have an idea. I want to see if maybe the bound parameter, if I'm using the dictionary or not. It is like satcom, super slow. Cool. Good night, Scarpino. No, so sorry. Scaparino. Scaparino. Thank you. We'll need it. I think that it might be a PS bound parameter issue. We'll see. Haha. Okay, I did it. Oh. He just said run it in VS Code. Hold on, ball. 8. There we go. There. Woohoo! Got a failure within the debugger. Um, Probably. He's asking if, yeah, dbachecks maybe. It should be dot sourcing because it. Do you need to dash force? Hey, hey, sweet. I don't know what to do with that though. All right, so you put a breakpoint and then you just ran it. The little arrow at the dot below it. Okay. step into F11. The curly arrow. Oh, there we go. So I have a step over is F10, and then step into is F11. All right, I'm going to press the button for stepping into it. Okay, so I just stepped into it a couple times. I actually I think that I just found the issue, Sean. Check this out. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys real quick. So you see how here we are doing PS bound parameters and we're removing specific things because we are passing that to another command. So basically, I needed to remove it from here. And I think that that's going to solve the problem. And that's kind of why, like, potato didn't work. It wasn't the configuration or anything like that. It's because I need to remove it from I need to remove it from this PS bound parameters. However, I would like if you could stream this, stream a debugging session. That would be super interesting because that seemed pretty straightforward. And I would like to start doing it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the debugger and stop the live share and then go back and remove it from there. Okay, so Sean left. And then what I want to do, I want to live share. I want to stop the live share. Stop collaboration session. Cool. All right. Nope, cancel. Okay. That was cool. That was the first time that I got to do a live share. And this whole time I'm like, man, that's really weird. And it was just my programming. I guess this is why you don't mess with bound parameters. See how the bar turned from blue to turned blue from orange. That indicates a live share stop. Oh, which bar? I don't see the bar. What I'm going to do is I am going to paste in that code that worked before. Okay, thank you. He said that the status, oh wait, you guys can all read that. I'm all repeating what you said. All right, so here we go. I believe that this had, there we go, the config path, right? But I want to go back and I will use the ether vein echo. I don't know why I have to press ether. Whew, we can finally get this done. That was a lot of work. Ether, no. It's not bound, it's param. There, that's what I want. I just want to take that one piece. So I do want the name to be config path. Goodness, guys, man, that was, it was an hour. I want it to be config path. I want to test the path. I want to run this. I want the warning action to silently continue. And then I want it to interrupt if there's an issue. And then I'm exhausted. And then I want my config path here. And then I want my config path. See, that's a config file. I think that, which one should it be? I think it should be config file. All right, so I'm going to I like config file, I think. Why not? Wait, what? All right, everything's config file now. Oh, and then I need to go actually do what I was supposed to do before, which is right here. Whew. A little switcheroo there, a little switcheroo. Spent a lot of time on that little switcheroo. It is config file. All right. The good old, oh, what's it called? It's not switcheroo. Okay, so we don't have anything named potato anymore. Oh, it's not potato. F is it imports it force imports DBA tools, Pester, PS framework, dbachecks. And there's an easy way to get like the guts of the function, but I can't remember it. It's in my profile. It loads each time. So now I'm going to go to config file, right? So we have potato, config. Is this gonna work, you guys? I think it might. Whew. Cheers, everyone. It totally worked. Now we need to change the warning action. That whole time, like, man, PowerShell, like, why I keep running into these bugs? And the bug was me. So let's go back and remove warning action is silently continue. So why it is not silently continuing, I don't know. But man, am I pumped. You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna dance a little bit, and I am going to modify my JSON. What? No. That was a good song. I'm gonna put it back. That is a wonderful plan, Zoltra. You know, it's easy. It's I know. Nobody would. I'm trying to think, would anybody actually use that for backups? Somebody on the internet must be using snapshots for backups. You know, it is easy, and they're pretty magical. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, being a DBA just became so much easier with virtualization, and I love it. I love it. I can't even tell y'all how exciting this is. I don't know if it feels like an excellent win. What am I at? Okay, so why this isn't silently continuing, I don't know. But I do know that it is a problem only with my setup because I have some old settings. I wonder if there's a clear PSF. Let's see. Clear PSF. Oh, result cache, maybe? Clear PSF. I don't know what a result cache is. Maybe that'll work. All right. Maybe there's a clear DBC. Did I add that? No. Okay, I didn't do that. Just the source. Okay, so now what are we going to do? I'm too excited. Okay, let me look at our changes. So I put in the config file, did that there, did this here. We use this properly. But what result? What I'm looking to do is clear my registry. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. Oh, there we go. For the result. Of course. Of course. It was the result. What I'd prefer is clearing, instead of the result, the cache. I'd prefer it to clear my registry so that I have this all pretty on screen. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's super cute. Kitty is playing with a ball. Because ragdolls play with balls. All right. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to change it from 77. See this? We're going to go with 100. And in order to prove that this worked, the output, instead of being the green 77, is going to be the green 100. Boom. What up? That took way longer than it should have, but, you know, I learned next time that I'm like, man, am I just like finding these weird PowerShell bugs? I'll just be like, let me look through my code and through my bound parameters. So now I'm pumped. And it is time to submit this. I should probably add an example. So guess what I'm going to do? Straight up add this example right here. Check database, exclude check, auto shrink, and then config. Thank you. I'm very excited. Config file. You know, let's make it realistic, right? We're going to have it on the share in the repo. And it is a, you know, prod.json. Cool. I actually saw a really cool tweet recently that there was this like one line of code change, and it had taken this really brilliant developer like a couple weeks to figure out, like just dedicated to it, and they're like, this is why you shouldn't judge it by just a small amount of code. But I'm looking at this and being like, man, couple hours, I'm an hour past my due. My you know, personal, just gonna do this till 12 for this. So, but this all looks good, and Oh, you know what I didn't update yet? That weird thing. There was a message. There was a problem with parsing the check repository. You see this? That's what's up. All right. So ultimately, the thing that happened was that this is a wrapper. Oh, Sean said that you could see the changes in VS Code. I did not know that because I don't use it yet, but I'm about to after I explain this. So basically what happened was this. I added a new parameter to invoke dbc check. And what it did was it tried to add that parameter to invoke pester because it used the PS bound parameters. And so the way this would have worked a really long time ago had I just remembered that, but it's been about a year since I've worked on DBA checks regularly, and I forgot about this little thing that we do because so it takes all of those parameters and it runs it against pester, except for all checks, except for the things that we custom added. So what happened with your girlfriend's file system? She zipped something and it messed it up. All right, so Sean said that I can see this in VS Code. This is one of my few times that I'm really trying to use VS Code. God, I'm really enjoying it, honestly. I'm moving away from PowerShell Studio and using VS Code. And let's see, source control. All right. Oh, I see. There we go. I want a summary. Oh, so it took 2 weeks. Oh, to fix a file system. See, that's the kind of stuff. This drives me crazy. You can click on the gutter to your far right to jump around. Oh, that. Okay. I want a better summary. I mean, this is like this is the good stuff right here. I wish that I could leave myself a little note here that says there's a problem parsing the repository. Did you add an extra parameter and forget to remove it? But you want it in line. Yes, I want it to look like this. I'm not so good with the git commit dash m. I'm not so good with the command line. I prefer with the git command line. Some things I just want a GUI for. That is one. All right, so we are in the branch called config path. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit it. And I'm going to say fixes number 501. Add support for inline config file fixes number. Oops, what? 501. Now import dbc config does not have to run. Okay, found it. Sweet. Now import db. I'm not going to commit this. I'm just going to leave some notes until I see what you say. So now important dbc does not have to run separately. All right. You got a link, Sean? I would like to see it before I commit to do the inline stuff. Thank you so much. I figured it's possible. Go back to VS Code and that comparison view that changes. The top right has 3 dots and selects. Ooh, look at that. Toggle, side-by-side view, toggle. Almost. Is it possible to just see the changes like this? I don't know if that's step one of whatever. So what this does is it clips other parts, right? So this is like, it collapses this and then it makes it easy to see changes. This, it looks like this, yeah, the whole command is there. All right, no editor does that. I guess that would make sense. I wonder if it's possible to put in a, I know, yeah, I'm wondering if it's a possibility that we could ask through the VS Code repo. I'm gonna put a little note for myself. Whew. All right, we are done here. Did I say I didn't spell it right? Let me just look in general if I spelled the whole thing right. 3 hours ago, so I didn't. Been at this for a while. All right. Cool. Cool. And what I'm going to do now is commit. Oh, that's cool. I don't think yeah. I have seen that before. It's true. That's a great point. We should do it, and we should schedule it the way that Tyler schedules his. You know what? This looks good enough. I'm going to create this pull request, and then Beard has a whole process. So there we have it. A full 3 hours later. Let's see. I updated it. Actually, I think it was just 2. Razzle dazzle. That was the word that I was thinking of instead of switcheroo. All right, so thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you. That sounds like so anticlimactic, after I just dredging through like so many hours, and then, it was that one little thing. But thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon.